In the realm of the gods, a prophecy echoed through the halls of Mount Olympus. It spoke of a hero who would bridge the gap between the divine and mortal worlds. This hero would be known as the Incarnate. The prophecy said he would face great dangers and overcome impossible odds. His name was Incarnal and his destiny was set in stone.
I was born to two powerful immortals, Demian and Nautovic.
His father, Demian, was the god of spiritual awakening. His mother, Nautovic, was the goddess of rebirth. From the moment of his birth, Incarnal glowed with an otherworldly light. The other gods whispered about his potential. They knew he was special, but they didn't know how special.
From the moment he was born, we knew he was destined for greatness.
As Incarnal grew, his powers began to manifest. He could see glimpses of past lives, he could communicate with spirits. He could even manipulate the very essence of incarnation itself. But with these powers came great responsibility. The young god knew he had an important role to play in the cosmic balance.
The other gods watched Incarnal closely as he matured. Some were excited about his potential, others were wary of his growing powers, but all agreed on one thing: Incarnal was destined for greatness.
The question was, what form would that greatness take? And would Incarnal be ready to face the challenges that lay ahead? As Incarnal reached adulthood, he was summoned to the throne room of Zeus. The king of the gods sat upon his lightning bolt throne, his piercing eyes fixed on the young deity.
Incarnal, son of Demian and Nautovic, do you know why I've called you here?
I believe so, Lord Zeus. It's about the prophecy, about my destiny as the Incarnate.
Zeus nodded, a smile playing at the corners of his mouth. He was impressed by the young god's directness.
Indeed, the time has come for you to begin your journey.
Zeus explained the role of the Incarnate to Incarnal. He would be a bridge between the divine and mortal realms. He would guide souls through the process of incarnation, and he would face great dangers along the way.
Are you prepared for this task?
Incarnal took a deep breath. He knew this moment would come, but he still felt a flutter of nervousness in his stomach.
I'm ready, Lord Zeus. I will become the Incarnate and fulfill my destiny.
Zeus nodded approvingly. He could see the fire of determination in Incarnal's eyes. But he also saw something else, a hint of fear. Zeus knew that this fear was not a weakness, but a sign of wisdom, for only a fool would face such a destiny without any trepidation. With Zeus's blessing, Incarnal began his training in earnest. His parents, Demian and Nautovic, took charge of his education. They knew the challenges their son would face. They were determined to prepare him as best they could.
I focused on teaching Incarnal about spiritual awakening and enlightenment.
And I taught him the intricacies of rebirth and reincarnation.
The training was intense and often grueling. Incarnal spent long hours meditating, honing his spiritual senses. He learned to see the threads of fate that connected all living beings. He practiced guiding mock souls through the process of rebirth. Sometimes he would collapse from exhaustion, his mind overwhelmed by the cosmic forces he was learning to control. But Incarnal never gave up. He pushed himself harder with each passing day. His parents watched with pride as their son grew stronger and wiser. They saw him master techniques that had taken them centuries to perfect.
We also worried. We knew the dangers that lay ahead on Incarnal's path. Would our training be enough to prepare him?
As the years of training went by, Incarnal's powers grew exponentially. He could now see all of a soul's past lives with a single glance. He could guide multiple souls through rebirth. Simultaneously, he even began to develop new techniques for spiritual awakening. His parents marveled at his progress, but they also knew that theoretical knowledge and controlled practice were not enough. Incarnal would need to face real challenges to truly become the Incarnate. The day finally came for Incarnal to leave the realm of the gods. He stood at the edge of Mount Olympus, looking down at the swirling clouds below. His parents and Zeus stood behind him, offering final words of encouragement.
Remember your training.
Trust in your abilities.
Zeus simply nodded, his eyes conveying both approval and caution. Incarnal took a deep breath and stepped off the edge. He plummeted through the clouds, his divine form shifting and changing. As he fell, he felt his godly powers diminish. He was becoming more mortal with each passing second. The sensation was both terrifying and exhilarating. This was it. This was the beginning of his true journey. He landed softly in a forest clearing, now fully mortal in appearance. The world around him seemed both familiar and strange. He could still sense the spiritual energies around him, but they were muted. The colors seemed less vibrant, the air thicker. Incarnate realized that this was how mortals experienced the world. It was a humbling realization.
This is where I will truly become the Incarnaut. This is where I will face the challenges that will define me.
As Incarnate took his first steps on Earth, he felt a sense of purpose wash over him. He didn't know what dangers lay ahead, but he was ready to face them. With determination in his heart, Incarnate set off into the unknown, ready to begin his legendary journey. Section 5, First Encounters Facing the Unknown. Incarnate's first days on Earth were a whirlwind of new experiences. Every sight, sound, and smell was more intense than he had imagined. He wandered through forests and meadows, marveling at the beauty of the mortal world, but he also sensed something else, a darkness lurking at the edges of his perception. He knew that his trials would begin soon.
I can feel it. Something isn't right.
It didn't take long for Incarnate to encounter his first challenge. As he was helping a lost soul find its way to rebirth, a shadowy figure appeared. It was a soul snatcher, a malevolent entity that preyed on wandering spirits. Incarnate had learned about these creatures during his training, but facing one in person was entirely different. The soul snatcher lunged at the lost soul, its shadowy tendrils reaching out hungrily.
No, I won't let you take this soul.
Incarnate reacted instinctively. He threw himself between the soul and the soul snatcher, his body glowing with divine light. The creature hissed and recoiled, momentarily blinded. Incarnate used this opportunity to guide the soul to safety, sending it on its way to rebirth, but the soul snatcher wasn't done. It turned its attention to Incarnate, sensing his power. The two engaged in a fierce battle of wills. Incarnate called upon all his training, using his powers to push back against the creature's darkness. It was a grueling fight, but in the end, Incarnate emerged victorious. The soul snatcher dissolved into nothingness, defeated by the young Incarnate's light.
I did it. The soul is safe.
Section 6. The Path of the Incarnate, Trials and Tribulations. As Incarnate continued his journey, he faced increasingly difficult challenges. He battled more soul snatchers, each one stronger than the last. He navigated treacherous spiritual landscapes, guiding lost souls through perilous terrain. He even faced off against minor deities who saw him as a threat to their power.
Every challenge seems tougher than the last, but I must keep going.
One particularly harrowing experience came when Incarnate encountered a soul trapped in a cycle of negative rebirths. The soul was stuck reliving traumatic experiences, unable to break free. Incarnate knew he had to help, but doing so would require him to enter the soul cycle. It was a dangerous move. If he wasn't careful, he could become trapped himself. Despite the risks, Incarnate made the decision to help. He dove into the soul's cycle, experiencing its pain and trauma firsthand. It was overwhelming. Incarnate felt himself being pulled deeper into the negative spiral.
I can't lose myself. I must hold on.
But he held on to his purpose, his identity as the Incarnate. With great effort, he was able to guide the soul out of its destructive pattern and towards a positive rebirth. This experience changed Incarnate. He emerged from it with a deeper understanding of the souls he was meant to guide.
I see now, it's not just about power.
He realized that being the Incarnate wasn't just about power or skill, it was about empathy, about truly understanding the struggles of those he was meant to help. This realization made him stronger, more determined than ever to fulfill his destiny.
I am ready. I will become the Legendary Incarnaut. Section 7. Allies and enemies, forging bonds and battling foes.
As Incarnate's journey continued, he began to attract attention from both allies and enemies. Some saw him as a beacon of hope, a force for good in a world often shrouded in spiritual darkness. Others viewed him as a threat, a disruptor of the established order. Incarnate found himself navigating a complex web of relationships and conflicts.
One of my most valuable allies was a mortal woman named Lyra. She was a spiritual medium with an unusually strong connection to the divine realm. Lyra could see me for who I truly was, even in my mortal guise. She became a trusted friend and partner, helping me understand the mortal world better.
But for every ally Incarnate made, he seemed to make an enemy as well. One of his most persistent foes was a dark spirit called Nyx. Nyx was jealous of Incarnate's power and determined to stop him from fulfilling his destiny. The two clashed repeatedly, their battles shaking both the physical and spiritual realms.
Through these alliances and conflicts, I grew both in power and wisdom. I learned the importance of teamwork, of trusting others. I also learned to be wary, to recognize the darkness that could hide behind seemingly friendly faces. Each interaction, whether positive or negative, shaped me into a stronger, more capable Incarnaut. Section 8. The Rise of Ultima Fuego, a formidable adversary.
As Incarnel's power and influence grew, a new threat emerged from the shadows. Ultima Fuego, a being of pure chaos and destruction, set its sights on the young Incarnaut. Ultima Fuego was an ancient entity older than many of the gods themselves. It sought to disrupt the cycle of rebirth and plunge all realms into eternal chaos.
I first became aware of Ultima Fuego when I noticed a pattern of souls disappearing before they could be reborn. I investigated, following the trail of missing spirits. What I found chilled me to my core. Ultima Fuego was consuming these souls, using their energy to grow stronger.
Realizing the magnitude of this threat, Incarnel knew he had to act. But Ultima Fuego was unlike any enemy he had faced before. Its power was immense, its influence far-reaching. Incarnel began to prepare for the greatest battle of his life. He called upon all his allies, mortal and divine alike, knowing he would need all the help he could get.
As I prepared for the coming conflict, I couldn't help but feel a sense of doubt. Was I truly ready for this? Could I really stand against such a powerful foe? But I pushed these thoughts aside. I was the Incarnaut, chosen by destiny. I had to believe in myself, in my purpose. The fate of countless souls depended on me. Section 9, the final confrontation, Incarnel versus Ultima Fuego.
The battle between Incarnel and Ultima Fuego was epic in every sense of the word. They clashed in a realm between worlds, their powers shaking the very fabric of reality. Incarnel called upon every skill he had learned, every ounce of power he possessed. Ultima Fuego responded with overwhelming force, its chaotic energy threatening to consume everything.
The fight seemed to last for an eternity. I was pushed to my absolute limits and beyond. I felt my divine essence straining under the assault, but I refused to give up. I thought of all the souls counting on me, of the balance I was sworn to protect. With a mighty effort, I pushed back against Ultima Fuego's onslaught.
In the end, it wasn't just Incarnel's power that turned the tide, it was his understanding, his empathy for the souls he protected. He realized that Ultima Fuego, for all its destructive nature, was itself a kind of lost soul. With this insight, Incarnel changed his approach. Instead of trying to destroy Ultima Fuego, he sought to guide it, to show it a different path.
This unexpected move caught Ultima Fuego off guard. The chaotic entity faltered, confused by my sudden change in tactics. In that moment of hesitation, I saw my opportunity. I reached out, not with aggression, but with compassion, and in doing so, I did what no one thought possible. I began to guide Ultima Fuego towards a new incarnation, a chance at redemption. I nodded, feeling a deep sense of purpose settling within me. This is why you were chosen to be the Incarnaut. Not just for your power, but for your capacity to learn, to grow, to understand. In a private moment with Zeus, Incarnel shared his newfound perspective. The king of the gods listened thoughtfully, a knowing smile on his face. I returned to Mount Olympus, where I was hailed as a hero. The gods celebrated my victory, praising my strength and courage. But I felt a new sense of humility. I knew that my success hadn't been solely due to my own abilities. It had been the result of everything I had learned on my journey, from both my allies and my enemies. In the aftermath of his battle with Ultima Fuego, Incarnel found himself changed. He had achieved a great victory, but not in the way he had expected. The experience had taught him a profound lesson about the true nature of his role as the Incarnaut. It wasn't just about power or destiny, it was about understanding, compassion, and the ability to see the potential for growth in every soul. Section 10. Reflection and Growth, the Lesson of Humility.